You guys, today is awesome because I get to talk to people that I genuinely like. And now I only live on the podcast. Like that's the only place I actually have a life anymore. So it's really cool when I get to talk to two people that I really admire and respect. And it's so funny because I always have this theory that it takes years to become an overnight success. And these two people, you know them, you love them separately. And then like peanut butter and chocolate, they come together and it is truly kind of miraculous, amazing. It's like the Wonder Twins in the form of a bucket, in the form of water. It's just really kind of amazing. And it hits all of those pleasure buttons that we love because they are two geniuses in terms of pop culture, what we love, but they go deep, you guys, and they go so deep, but they don't scare you with it. I was listening to an episode today and I was like, man, I love this shit so much. I love it so much. And it's just a love letter to all of these things. And of course, they use the term blinds, but of course, we have two guests today. You know her maybe from Laguna Biatch. You know her from her podcast Nostalgia Now with Laguna Biatch. You know the gentleman from originally Smushroom, then Dunzo. Together, they are Kelli Williams, Troy McEady from the mega blockbuster podcast Beyond the Blinds.
Thank you for that introduction. Oh my goodness.
We're using that. It's now copyrighted. We're using that for our live shows. Like,
truly, what the F, you guys? Like, I mean, I feel like I get to like interact. I've known you guys for years now, and Troy especially. I'm like, and it's you guys have been doing this for so long. Like, I mean, you know, like longer than I have, and like doing it amazingly. Like, it's not like you just all of a sudden became good. But you've always had this passion. You've always been so good. And now you're selling out live shows. You were in the LA Times a little bit ago. And it's like, so it's like not weird to me, but it's so funny to actually go like, holy crap. It's like when somebody wakes up to something and you're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Are you guys blown away?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we...
Okay, well, we'll talk to you guys next time. Yeah.
I mean, when we started, Troy and I thought this would be like just a fun little thing to do together because we love blind items. But yeah, it's insane and we love it.
Troy, do you love it as well?
It doesn't feel real. Like it feels like it's weird because we're so like in our bubble, like just recording. We do 2 episodes a week, so we're always like going and like kind of like laser focused on like just getting it done. And then it's like you take a minute to like stop and look around and it's like, well, this is like wild.
Yeah, I was listening to the episode and you were telling like I stayed at a really nice hotel in New York, and Kelli was like, "You go, say it." You're like the Ace Hotel. It was like, I was like, and you seemed so tentative about it. You seem so like, like, are they gonna take away my stay if I said I liked it? It was like really, it just really fascinating and awesome because you guys are now doing like a slew of live shows. Which, how is that switching over from kind of just being behind a mic and dealing with people online that are fans, but actually getting to see them? And like, how has that changed how you structure a show, how you come at a show?
Do you want to go, Troy?
Yeah. I think, what's interesting, like I have never done anything like really on stage, and Kelli knows like I'm like pretty chill for the most part, like all the time. But like right before we go on stage, I am like it's not even me. I am a literal maniac. It's psychotic. Like
I'm a big sweater. Do you sweat?
Oh, soaking wet. I always think like I'm gonna faint. And I always tell her like I'm gonna go out on stage and my knees are gonna collapse like Woody from Toy Story, and I'm just gonna faint on the stage. But no, it's like it's cool to be able to see people like in real time like interact with what we're talking about, because we never know if people will connect or not. So that part of it is my favorite, like finding out the stuff that people are like really into.
Yeah. So like the show is Beyond the Blinds. Can we talk a little bit about how it actually was conceived? Because you guys were jamming on your stuff. I'm like, how did this meeting of the minds happen? Where was that decision of like, do you want to like do something together?
Yeah. So I got laid off from my job.
That'll do it. I had no other options. Yeah.
I just had Troy on Nostalgia and Now, and we talked about the Free Britney movement. And whenever Troy comes on my podcast or whatever, people went insane. Yeah. So totally. I called Troy and I was like drunk. And I was like, do you want to record an episode for a podcast? He's like, what's the podcast? I'm like, oh, it's our podcast. We're doing it together.
That's, I mean, but those little moments though, I mean, I know we take those, I mean, you kind of just don't really think about it, but then you look back, how long has it been? Like 8 months? How long have you guys been doing this?
Almost a year.
A year,
Yeah,
but like
we're
you look
coming up on
back,
a year.
you wouldn't really think about that in the moment. It was just like, you know, a silly phone call and you're like, yeah. And also with podcasters, I think especially we kind of like say yes to everything because we genuinely enjoy talking, and you don't really think about, sometimes you don't even think, because you know it might not get out to anybody. You're doing it for the joy of doing it.
Yeah, and I think the really funny thing about us is like we had been on each other's shows a couple times, and we knew that there was this sort of shorthand. Like,
Yeah.
I knew that I was like, oh, I can talk to Kelli about like blind item stuff and like Lou Pearlman and like whatever. And
Yeah.
like I knew that she was like a Backstreet Boys fan, but I was like, oh, she's like a fan because she's like a fan, but then she knows like the blind item stuff, and that was like, I was like, oh, that's fun, you know?
Yeah. Well, that is that how it, like, did you guys like actually have a planning out session of like, what is the things that we have in common? Like what, or was it just natural? Like, oh, let's just start talking about blinds.
I don't know. I feel like I said, let's do a blind item podcast.
Yeah. It just felt like the thing that we connected on the most was like that dark, seedy underbelly kind of news.
No, I mean, you guys, by the way, Troy always gives me dark and seedy, not in purple. Like, no. I mean, I'm just saying the entertainment field, pop culture is filled with dark, seedy moments. And, you know, sometimes I don't know why I associate with Kelli with more lightness. And I know that's not true because you're a dark MFer as well. But what I was like loving about because I was going in all cocky listening to the show. I was like, I'm going to know everything they're talking about. And then Troy was hitting me with like Lady Gaga boyfriends that I had never heard of. And then he was like, yeah, that's who Judas was based off of. And even Kelli, you didn't really know. You were like, I like the Joanne album. I like this. And Troy was like, da, 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 da. And I was wondering, like, is there strengths and weaknesses you guys both have where you're like, this is Kelli's jam, this is Troy's jam?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what are they? Like, do you have like, I pay, like, this is what I love to shine.
I mean, I'm definitely like CW fame. People who are famous for being on like CW shows. That's kind of like, I love them.
Well, Annie, I think anything Aaron Carter too. You're like,
yes. Unfortunately, I follow that very closely.
Well, but the fun thing about it though is like we love the same, like we have the same, we exist in the same universe, but we like different things in the universe, you know?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this, like, you can feel that it clicks immediately. And I think that's what's so cool because you can't plan those things out. They either happen or they don't. And like, that's what's so exciting. And I think audiences are like responding to this on top of, it's almost one of those things where you feel like it's like a history podcast almost. There's like this, because I've always tried to say people shouldn't be ashamed of the stuff that we love, you know, because there's a lot of shame for some reason associated with it. And like, we can be proud, like you can study this shit. Like this shit is history. Like you even had a full on Bradley Cooper episode of like, you know, like this stuff you can like, and then I see people like, oh my God, I learned this from Beyond the Blinds. I learned this, like, that's really exciting. And it's like what you guys, cause I remember listening to both of you and you guys would get me excited separately about, like, I started rewatching The Hills because of you, and Troy just like kind of made me less ashamed, like, you know, not less ashamed. I'll always be ashamed, but just like made me really like, it was like you talked about it so passionately, even when you were in your closet chain smoking. And I was like, this dude's gonna die for his art. And you know, like, so you guys present so many facts and stuff like that. How do you go about prepping a show? Is that, can you speak to that at all, or is that secret sauce material?
Some of it's secret sauce material. I mean, the sources that we use to get our blind items, I guess, would be secret sauce, because like it would ruin our show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could you? It would really do. Hey, if you could do me a solid and release some names, I really, ratings. You know, I just want to count those. Yeah.
But no, we take turns. Kind of. The other fun thing about hosting with Kelli is like we take turns like passing the ball. So like she'll host an episode and then I'll host an episode, and like we kind of gauge it based on like who knows more about the person or who's more connected to them or whatever. But we will go back as far as we can with the person. You know, typically it's like the mid 90s or the early 2000s is when they start, and we'll start from the very beginning and like read through their entire life of blind items, and we pick stuff out that's like not interesting. We'll throw things away. But yeah, I mean, we for the most part categorized 20 years of blind items on a Google Doc.
Yeah.
God, that's like, I mean, that's just like my nipples are hard right now. I'm like, this is so exciting. I mean, it's so exciting. And just so we can explain to the people that I know, you know, like that might not really, blind items are, what is your official definition of a blind?
I would say it's like anonymous tips that are written out in riddles and you don't know if they're true or not.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on, because in this day and age, and I even like will complain about it sometimes, is that, you know, it's like 60% of this stuff turns out to be complete horseshit, and you're looking for that one kernel of truth. And sometimes it has that. So you're like, this is right on that edge. What have you guys changed your opinions or excitement on blinds as you've grown more into this and into pop culture? Cause you can kind of like, I compared like seeing through it, like the Matrix, you all start to see like, okay, this person put this out, so we would talk about this.
Yeah, I think it's easier to see PR moves that happen. Like there was one blind we read, we just did a Harry Styles episode, and they talked about how
oh no.
Harry and Olivia will take pictures in the street because there are no people around. So like it can be a photo of just them. And then if you look at a lot of their paparazzi pictures, they're all in the middle of the street. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think that they take pictures in the street so they don't get random people like us in the photos.
Oh my God. I just got this idea. I just got this really scary vision of me running over Harry Styles and like accidentally, like, you were in the fucking streets. Yeah, you were in the streets.
He's like flipping his hair in the street, pretending to walk.
Of course it would be Ryan who hits him.
Yeah, I'm just like, you just see a shot of me just like, oh man. Oh man. Like this sucks. The Harry Styles, when does that one come out?
It's on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh, smart idea. See, I'm an idiot. I put everything on a main feed and then still, wow, you have a whole Harry Styles episode on the Patreon?
We put out one public episode and one Patreon episode every week. In the Patreon episodes, sometimes at the end, I'll be like, I need to shower. That was a lot. That was really gross. So the Patreon episodes are like rough.
Yeah, they're intense.
Is there any way you could give me one rough, dirty thing about Harry Styles? Just to tease the Patreon just a little bit, and just to titillate me, really.
Go ahead, Troy.
Okay, there is a rough, dirty thing that we read, and Kelly, you already know what I'm going to say. There was a rough, dirty thing in the Harry episode that Harry, how do I say this? That Harry isn't like hygienic, which like we've heard this too all the time.
I've heard this too, yeah.
That's some kind of wealthy guy thing where it's like when men reach a certain level of like fame and success, they start repelling people with their scent, or like they'll see if they can like get people to like be detoured by them because they stink. Or it's like a weird thing. Some kind of peeing on everything, testosterone kind of thing.
McConaughey used to have these rumors about him a lot.
Yeah, and Bradley too. That they just don't wear deodorant, whatever. And yes, that Harry is just a messy, dirty boy. Like in many ways.
Wow. Oh, wow. See, I'm just going to say, I think his pubic region is just a forest down there. I think it's a forest. I think there's no like shaving, nothing. It's just all hairy hairy on Harry. That's actually Harry's house. Do we like Harry Styles personally? Do we like him?
I don't. I see why people do, but he's just kind of not my kind of music.
Okay. Troy?
I'm charmed by him sexually. Yeah. Is that what you mean?
That's Troy. Troy, what are we on the boner scale with Harry? I saw him at Coachella, and I gotta say, I wasn't really looking forward to. I was just like, whatever, and he did. He charmed me. I was like, oh, this guy's putting on a show. Like, I mean, I hate to be so remedial about that, but it's like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not his target audience. But then I was like, people are flipping out over him. And then the Olivia Wilde stuff is just, that's like pop culture bread and butter and blind bread and butter, because there's so many rumors about the Olivia Wilde stuff. And also he's come out with, I don't want to define my sexuality. Is he a beard? I mean, I remember back in the day with 1D, he had all those, what was him and which guy on 1D, all the rumors that they were in love?
Louis.
Yeah. What happened to we see Liam making jackass podcasts and stuff like that, and like, what happened to sweet old Louis?
Sweet old Louis. Louis like went into, it's so weird. Louis was like the prankster, like the fun one of the group. He was like the scary spice, if you will. I never expected Louis would go into like, I don't know, seclusion. Like, you never see him anymore.
Yeah, what is it like? He's just like in the woods, like in a forest?
I think he's on tour. He's on tour right now.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, well,
poor Louis.
I mean, yeah, he's not. Well, I mean, it's just weird for Harry to blow up this much. He's like the Timberlake of 1D. When, you know, I was like a JC Chazé guy myself, and then, you know, Justin had made the right PR moves and all that stuff. And of course, I know you guys have strong opinions on Janet and all of that stuff over the years. But it is interesting in terms of pop culture that everything's cyclical. Like, we've seen elements of the Harry fandom again and again just throughout pop culture. So do you guys have to like do a straw poll on who you're going to cover, who interests you? How does that get decided?
Well, we have a suggestion box. So people give us a lot of suggestions, but one of the best things is like celebrities are always messy. Yeah. So no matter who we choose, there have been some people, like we wanted to do a Kate Hudson episode, but she just didn't have enough blind items. So there are some times that, you know, a celebrity we want to do, we can't.
Kate Hudson actually is like, do you remember like the Rachel Zoe project on Bravo? And she had the one episode where she was hanging out with Kate, and Kate was singing like a song from, Kate was singing like a Fleetwood Mac song or something. And you just, in that one moment, I understood exactly, like, Kate Hudson's your friend who thinks they're also a rock star. And everybody's like, and everybody's like, beautiful voice, Kate. But it's weird. I was talking about this in terms of real world, how like, you know, all of a sudden 20 years have passed. And I was like, wait, you know, remember when Kate was like, you know, he's dating everybody. She had the Black Crowes lead singer and then the Muse lead singer. And you're like, oh shit, now she's past. I mean, I hate to say this, she's past that age of people giving as much of a shit as they did 20 years ago, which is a comment, I guess, on how we treat females. But isn't it weird to kind of grow old with pop culture?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And one thing I like that we're able to do is also look back, because some blind items from like 2003, the way they wrote about weight or really anything, it was like, holy shit, we were awful.
Yeah, I mean, no, completely. I mean, it is funny. We are in a more sensitive culture, I guess. But even then, it's like you're always going to slip up. Or I mean, like the one I always remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. It was like I remember this like vividly. It was like Us Weekly or something. It was not a blind. It was an actual thing of Jessica Alba at a Snoop Dogg concert, and Tobey Maguire was there, and he had gained weight. And Jessica Alba said, holy shit, he's fat. And it was like written about in this little like rumor, like gossip column. And I always remember that. And then after that, supposedly Toby lost a lot of weight after that Snoop Dogg concert. And for some reason that always sticks out to me of reading that, of like, oh my God, like Us Weekly just fat shamed Tobey Maguire.
We have random episodes where literally like the blind item will be the same for maybe 5 or 6 years. And it's written about almost weekly, and it'll be like, this person's getting weight, like getting fat, they've gained weight, porker, chunky, gaining weight, big, fat. And it's like, or like a person who has like a bald patch or something, they'll write about it for like 7 straight years. Like, rumor has it, like, this person's hair isn't as thick as you would think. And it's like so weird. And we're both just like, this is wild.
Yeah, because we won't read certain blinds. Like, if it's really shamey or like certain drug use, we won't talk about. Like, if someone was allegedly pregnant once, but it was never confirmed, like, we just kind of don't touch those ones.
Like, I hear like, and what I like now is that it's not like, it's getting more like, who gives a fuck, like the gay rumors, like that used to be like, you know, even 10 years ago, that was the big, oh, Tom Cruise, he's most likely this, or which I think Tom Cruise is just asexual. I don't even think of him as a sexual being at all. But they were all like, I heard Matthew McConaughey, and like the only one that I could actually verify for myself of being there for something weird was Kevin Spacey, because I was actually in a situation with Kevin. I wasn't like dating him. I was just in a spa where he was, but I should write a blind to you guys. I just blew it. So it is weird that you're like, wow, I'm really proud we don't like do as many gay rumor blinds anymore. Like that shows growth of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom Cruise. I was thinking, I just saw Top Gun and I did like this whole rant about how excited I was, like movies. And then it almost made me magically forget the 25 years of information I have on Tom Cruise and how much I studied Scientology, not the actual, like I studied, I watched I read the books, watched the documentaries, and I was like, wow, this guy, he come back, and then I'm like, wait a sec. He doesn't even talk to Suri Cruise, his daughter, anymore. Like, are we going to do a Tom Cruise episode?
We actually did Tom at one of our live shows.
How did it go?
It was great. Okay. It was so good. Like, because people love Scientology stuff, and Scientology blind items are like very fun because it's like a double thing, it's like Scientology and a blind item. So it's like people really love it.
Yeah, no, it's like, the David Miscavige of it all. And I was like, I remember, because then I went back after Top Gun and then I was like looking for, and then I was like, oh, I remembered all the Scientology like interview videos with Tom of like, I'm the only one that can help. When I see somebody stranded on a road, that we know as Scientologists, we can help. And then I was like, oh, John Travolta. And then I was like, why are they into flying all the time? They love to fly themselves places. And I'm like, they're training for planetary battle at some sort. Like people forget that like we're there's like this whole Tom Cruise like wave of admiration again, which I'm falling into. But then I'm like, wait a sec, he's had a very troubled history in terms of just the Scientology stuff alone.
Yeah, I think one thing we try and do our best with is like still enjoy people's art, even though we don't enjoy them. So like you can enjoy Top Gun, but just understand Tom Cruise is insane.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was like, I do have to like, but then I was like, when can we, like, when is it not all right to separate the art? Like, because I was like,
that's true.
And then I was like, oh, I like Magnolia with Tom Cruise. I like, like there's, he always does kind of convince you that like everything's sort of okay and to be the best and run the fastest and all the bullshit that I can't do. But then I was like, I'm not a sports guy anyways, but like, I wouldn't be able to fucking watch Tristan Thompson play basketball ever again after like the clown he made Chloe, like, repeatedly look into. I take that shit personal. So you guys don't take it personal anymore with celebrities?
There are definitely a few that, I think cancel culture is fake. This is something Troy and I have said, but like I cancel people for myself. Like I'm not going to listen.
Yeah, personal cancellations are
okay.
Like
I won't listen to Morgan Wallen. I won't listen to Chris Brown. Those are just my choices.
Yeah, one like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying that it's like, right. Like, how easy it is for me to not listen to Michael Jackson? Like, do you know how much music there is? Like, there's so much music that it's like, I don't even feel like, it's like sometimes I'll want to hear the everybody go, doo, doo, the R. Kelly song. But other than that, like, I'm never like, damn it, I wish I could put on an R. Kelly album right now.
We both kind of gauge it. Like we talk about so many people, like, especially doing 2 episodes per week, like we're constantly in it. And it just kind of makes you realize that like everybody is kind of a piece of shit a little bit, and some people are worse than others. And it makes it a little bit, it doesn't make it any better, but it makes it easier to just like enjoy stuff when you're like, if it wasn't the lead in this movie, it would be the producer or the writer or the casting agent or somebody that I can't even see that did something terrible on this production. So I'm just gonna, watch Vanilla Sky and like let live.
Like, I'm more. Well, by the way, this is like always, I love those little. When I used to watch like DVD extras, there's a DVD extra on Vanilla Sky of like the press tour for Vanilla Sky, and Tom Cruise is leaving like a late night voice message for Cameron Crowe at like 3 a.m, and he's like, "Buddy, wake up! I love movies." Like it was like so intense. I'm just like, this guy's nonstop all the time,
Yeah, he's Tom Cruise every day.
I think about that too as I get more into like all the housewife stuff and all of like. even the Chloe Tristan stuff, which I weirdly take personal because I don't have a real life anymore, is that everybody, like, I'm like, okay, all like these breakups and all of this stuff. Like we had so many this weekend. We had Shakira breaking up. Shakira and she got cheated on. And then there was like another big, Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey. But I'm like, yo, like, guess what? Relationships, I hate to be jaded, like usually don't last. And then somebody gets their feelings hurt and then talks mad shit about that person. And it's like, you're kind of the judge of like, I think just once you get older that you're like, yeah, when it comes to love, it's really hard to judge other people's reactions. Like you want everybody to be happy, but you realize there's no way I'm going to know exactly what went on in that relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always see like, it's hard to compare. Like we'll get messages from people being like, well, like I know in my relationship or like my cousin, and it's like your cousin is not Michael B. Jordan and they're not in the same scenario. Like it just there's no way to like even wrap your head around like the logistics of like Lala Anthony's marriage. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Because
we wouldn't even know, like, that's why I always crack up about, well, we'll get to that in a sec, but I crack up about that too, because it's like, yo, nobody's trying to take pictures of you on a date. Like,
right,
nobody's
exactly.
like outside going like, nobody's at a dinner table sneaking a picture of you. I mean, who knows? Maybe they are, but you know what? Like, not like how celebrities have it. And I don't feel bad for them, but it's just a whole different thing, a different ball game that we're used to at all. Is there, what's your favorite type of blinds? Like, what's your, like, I could talk about this for hours, and what are you so tired of talking about?
You go first.
I'm so tired of the Kardashians. I can't I can't care for
it's
them
all
anymore.
Consuming.
Like,
it's all consuming.
and I've been over them for like years and years and years. But I think my favorite blinds are about PR relationships. Like specifically, one thing NT does a lot is he always compares PR, like any PR relationship, to Tom Hiddleston and Taylor Swift, which is like the fakest relationship of all time, allegedly.
Come on, he made a t-shirt. That's not fake. Why would you make a t-shirt if it's like he said, I love Taylor? Yeah.
I know, but yeah, I love PR relationship ones.
Well, what about you, Troy?
I like the PR relationship ones too. And I also love, listen, I'm a homosexual. I love gay blinds. You know what I mean? I love them.
No, I mean, like, is there one that you like wish was true, but is not? Is there one of like, damn it, I want this to be true. Everything tells me it's not true though.
Oh, everything tells me it's not true. Haven't run into that.
What's the one you secretly hope is true the most?
Oh God, that I secretly hope is true. I can tell you which ones I secretly hope are not true.
Okay, what's those?
But I don't think that they aren't. I hope that Zac Efron's blind items aren't true. I really do. Because Zac Efron seems like a very like decent human being, and his blind items are very gruesome. And I just
in terms of alleged drug use and things like that, or
drug use and like the control or lack thereof that he has over his life and his career, and him sort of being like puppeteered by like powerful men. I just feel like if those blinds are true, that sucks.
Well, didn't he kind of have to move to a different country to actually even have some semblance of a normal life?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's bad.
We were talking about which I'm so sorry, Kelly, to bring this up, the Kardashians, is that, but we watch, it's kind of like The Hills and stuff like that, but just on crack, like on steroids, is that we all started off at a certain point with the Kardashians. And you do, like, I always go, like, I have to give them props for what they are, like, wow, like Kris Jenner, wow, you really did it. But now it's switching over for me in this last year of like, it's kind of getting scary for me, where I'm like, where does it's like, oh, you're like, you want to go for the Bezos Musk thing. You're like, you're angling now. Mm-hmm. You're getting into, like I said, Kim will be running for some sort of California office in the next decade, hands down. And then you're like, Kris is trying to set up everybody to have their thing. Courtney's drinking Travis's semen. Like, it's just all too, it's all too much. By the way, that would have been a great blind, but Courtney just actually told us that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Do you guys like, does it scare you like it scares me, or do you still laugh at it and like, oh, they're just crazy over there?
No, Troy and I always joke that they have the Men in Black mind eraser thing. You know, they do something
Yes.
really terrible and then they just flash their button and they're like, oh, never mind, we didn't do that.
Or
We
it's like
did
a
something
football
more
team.
terrible this week. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's like I feel like it's almost a football team where they'll send Chloe out to do something crazy with her face just to distract from this thing over here. But are we, as trained pop culture professionals and all of us who appreciate it, are we taking the bait too much? Are we, or are we looking in too deeply? And it's like, yo, we're actually just trying to live a life. We're not planning this shit out.
oh no, we are taking every bait. I mean, that's the thing, is like I don't even really feel bad for us at this point, because it's like
We asked for it.
we ask for it every time and they serve it to us every time in the exact same way. The really like fucked up thing about it, honestly, is they don't even really change their formula.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of do the same thing all the time and we always fall for it. And they're even following the same formula on their show, where they'll have some event happen in life and then, you know, 6 months later, and they like will let us like talk about it and promote their show, and then they show us this watered down version of it on TV that is not real, and we take it and we just accept that as like the reason, even though we know it's not. It's psychotic.
Well, that's what I said. I always said, like, if they actually showed us what really was going on, they would win fucking best documentary ever. They'd be like, we need this as film. This isn't TV anymore. These are documentary award-winning films. But yeah, it's like you're like being lied to for like 98% of that show. And then I don't know if you guys read that lawsuit with Kris Jenner and the guy that I think was like a security guard or something, where he said Kris Jenner is addicted to horror and she loves to have these, like, that's why she keeps all of these men that should be cut out of their lives around, because it almost feeds the circus. Like, she knows she has to send her lion cubs or her kids into this and deal with it, because all it does is it makes things bigger and bigger and bigger. And the thought of that, it was like a Midsummer, like, horror movie in my head of like Kris Jenner just doing that stuff. But it kind of made sense to me, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Because you have Scott like, hey, what's going on? I'm Scott. I'm still upset about Courtney. What's going on? And every year it's the same thing. And I'm like, we're going to watch this man potentially die at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, I think that the Met Gala was like, I called it a moment of like implosion. Like it felt like Kim like imploding on herself. Like it's like too far.
And to put the Maryland dress in there, like
it's too much.
Wouldn't that be great if that was like the Big Bang Theory of pop culture in that one moment?
And we all just blew up and literally the world ended.
This is like the TV show Lost. It's like the TV show Lost. We all died on that plane crash that night. And one last thing before the Kardashians, before we move on, the Kim and Pete stuff, just because it is being pushed out there so much. Now, people like I have my Monday co-host is always like, it's fake. It's a fake PR relationship. But I'm not saying like I believe in romance or their romance, but I was like, wait a sec. Like, he's now like doing the, like, where she tells him what to wear. He was wearing a fancy black suit this weekend. And like, and we even saw in the Kardashians, she was like, I'm basically DTF. I called SNL. And I was like, ooh, you targeted them. That's interesting. And what is your take on this relationship? Real, PR? What is it?
I think it's totally fake. And I think it's really wild that now Kanye used to style Kim. Now Kim's styling Pete.
I don't think it's going as well for Pete as it is.
But no, people are like obsessed with them and they're like, Kim just seems so happy. And I'm like, it's not real.
But see, Troy and like, you guys are really feeling people. You have emotion. Like I've taught, like, you guys are really good people. Like, I try to take that through my mind. Is that like, really, they would like let this person be around the kids and hold hands and all of this stuff for a fake relationship? Like, and if so, then I'm like, this is the rom-com we've all been with. This is like a Can't Buy Me Love reboot. Like, this could be something huge if it really was fake. But why would they allow this much deception in somebody's actual personal life just for the money and the fame?
Well, I think that like we can't ignore the fact that like Kim knew coming out of this relationship with Kanye that like everything was on the line. Like, not only are we seeing her for the first time have to like style herself, which she's like terrified of, but like, you know, her next relationship choice is going to be like a major huge deal. And I'd said, I just did an episode about them for Dunzo about this like specific topic. And I'd said that I think, you know, Kim has been very like buttoned up and restricted. And I said the physical embodiment of Kim is her in that Balenciaga caution tape. Like that's Kim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just
slowly
like,
moving, get the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, like up to the throat and just bullshit, you know? And it's like she has to like loosen up. Like she needs to like shake it off a little bit. And I think Pete is the best thing for that. Like he makes her feel more human to people who think it's like real.
But then it's almost like that Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing where she's sucking out the humanity from Pete, co-opting it. Then she'll brand it herself. And pretty soon we're going to have Kim Kardashian yoga centers or something, or Kim Kardashian's put her name on weed, which I heard was actually in the works. And the other thing is, I just wonder where this ends. Also, Pete, I know for a fact, loves mushrooms. Would love a Kim Kardashian episode of her trying mushrooms for the first time, where she's like, my life is like, she claws at her face and stuff like that. Okay. So that you think fake, you think just messed up, Troy.
Somewhere in between, like fake, but also, do I think that they've like had sex? Sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's like fake, but not fake.
That's the other thing. Who do you think is I always think when somebody like leads with sexuality as a pop star or a movie star, or whatever, they're usually pretty not sexual. Like I always think of Erica Jane, where she's like, yeah, I love sex. And it's like, she probably just lays there, you know, like no offense, Erica, but is that the same thing with like Kim? I think always presents this image of sex, but to me, I just can't imagine, you know, just even how she talks is just kind of like, yeah. Like, could you, like, is she a stallion?
I mean,
Troy, you slept with her. What do you think?
I as someone who's made love to Kim, listen, I've always maintained that her sex tape is the most boring. In my celebrity sex tape ranking, Kim is like nowhere near the top 5.
Oh, Ray J. Oh, Ray J.
Oh my God.
Ray,
baby,
are you here for the love of Ray J? Spinning off to this into Kanye a little bit. I was really thrilled that Kanye's taken somewhat of a social media break, but then I was even getting caught up into these blinds of that blonde-haired girl who had an OnlyFans that he was with. He went and saw Top Gun. I don't know if you guys read anything about this. Like supposedly Chaney Jones is out and this blonde girl is in, but the blonde girl also might have hooked up with Drake. Like there's a weird, and they even like name checked this girl on Life is a Party rap song on Donda. And I was like, this goes like deep, these roots of, and it seems like these celebrities pick a girl and then they just all pass this girl around or something.
That's what we've learned in Blind Items. Like almost every single episode, we're like, oh, and this person hooked up with Cara Delevingne.
Oh,
yeah, totally.
Wait, did you guys watch the Cara Delevingne Architectural Digest?
Oh yeah,
we're showing the house. Oh,
I love her, Ryan.
Wait, Kelly. By the way, dude, I need to see Kelly and Cara hang out. Like you guys, because you guys, I was explaining to the audience last week, she has a person put a vagina in one of her secret walls and you can crawl through the vagina and then you wind up in another room and you come out through a washing machine. That's the kind of fun. And she's so rich that it's like she's like, here's my ball pit room, you know?
I would love to hang out with Cara Delevingne.
I wouldn't even,
so dude, everyone knows.
Either you or her would die if that ever happens. You guys like, it would be like a White Claw drinking contest.
Both of you have partied with me at different points.
Yeah, I partied with you. I was sick. This is no joke. I was sick for 2 months after that. Like, I mean, it started that night and like you got hammered. I was hammered. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm in Nashville. What an idiot. I have COVID now. Like not like I felt so bad. It turned out I had strep throat, which turned into thrush, which is like only babies get and me. And I was
Oregon Trail of you.
I had dysentery. But Kelly was like hammered and it was like actually really fun. But I was like, that next day, I thank God I was sick. Cause I was like, did I just lose my will to party forever? Cause I don't know, but you're an epic partier, Kelli. Have you
Thank
guys,
you.
you guys just met recently for the first, I mean, through touring and stuff like that. And you guys just spent a weekend in New York. I mean, did you guys party hard?
We always end up drunk together.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a mandatory part of being together is like one night we're going to get wasted.
And
Has
I'll probably
anybody held
cry.
anybody's hair back yet? Wait, by the way, if you guys follow, you got to follow Kelli on TikTok too, because she has a lot. She's been on a crying jag recently where she will usually end the night in tears. And I was watching her tell a story about crying to a taxi driver, and the taxi was like, "You're not even my first cry of the night," because you were worried about that. And just recently, you got to move to New York, which is such a huge flipping change. Wait, why did you move to New York? And I want to say that I think you love it, but you do keep posting videos where you're crying every night.
Okay, so the crying is just because of something that happened recently.
Okay,
I will be okay from it.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a seasonal thing, like allergies, where you're like, I always.
Ryan, I'm just crying sometimes. Sometimes it just be
Dude,
like that.
I do the same. I'll put on a Counting Crow song. I'll cry my eyes out. Like,
Yeah. So I've always wanted to live in New York, and I found a neighborhood I liked, and I found an apartment. So I signed a lease 2 days after our New York show.
Was Troy, were you like, hey, hold on, it's a little crazy. Like, I mean, like that's like a big move.
Well, the funny thing is like we went to like we got brunch like the day before our show, and we sat down and we were both like, we both want to live here, right? And we're like, yeah. And I was like, I want to live here, and she was like, me too. And then literally the next day, Kelli had an apartment.
Yeah,
that's
like,
not an
like,
exaggeration.
I always hear like these things of it's impossible, like not just to move anywhere, but New York especially. And then I see videos of your apartment and it like looks decent. Like, those 80s, like any movie in New York, like Coyote Ugly, like there should be like rats all around or something. And your apartment looks livable.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. I have a 1-bedroom. My closet is in the living room, but that's okay. But no, I mean, I found my apartment on TikTok. I followed a bunch of like realtors, and I found and just started emailing people. And
have you used did you like, I'm a podcast host from Beyond the Blinds, and they're like, I know it well, and got you in there?
I use that for my rental company to like move my stuff.
Wait, they like threatening them? Like, I'll destroy you if you don't move my stuff properly? Or
No, it was like, hey, I have some followers on Instagram.
Oh, did it work?
Discount. Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I've never had the balls to do that. Oh, and so where are you now, Troy?
I'm still in Cleveland, but I want to move to New York. I'm the cliche of like, oh, it is hard to move to New York City. That's me. Moved in a day.
Dude, I saw that. And I was like, holy, I mean,
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, my inner dialogue was like, good for her. And then I was like, you would never do that, pussy. You would never do like to myself. Like that was my inner dialogue. And then I was like, you made it look so easy. And then that's what scared me when I started seeing the crying stuff, because I was like, what's going on in New York? Like, are we good in New York?
We'll be okay.
Sure. No,
so
I know.
Like, I don't think she'll be okay, but
you're obviously strong as hell. But I just like, that's, I was like, wow.
No, I'm very happy here. Thank you. It's just.
And also, did you even move to New York if you aren't crying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, isn't New York supposed to break you a little?
This is Felicity all over again, man. This is yeah. No, I actually love that, and I think it's like the coolest thing. I'm just bummed you didn't choose LA, but actually New York's way more romantic than I mean, just like that kind of thing. Like that's awesome. LA is what it is. So Troy, you're eventually going to move there.
Yes, I just like haven't really put my mind to it in the way that it deserves, because I'm still in my lease currently, so I have like time to fiddle faddle, I guess.
Yeah, but I've talked to somebody, and then you sign another lease. Like you gotta like.
I know.
You gotta do something. Like Kelly's got to get the email of your person and just put in your notice once that lease hits.
And I refuse to sign another one here, so that's like what I'm telling myself. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you guys got 15 more minutes. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Cool. You got 3 hours? No. Okay. So you just did an episode on Bradley Cooper. I've always been fascinated with Bradley Cooper's romantic relationships, because we have that infamous meme of like him reading to Suki Waterhouse, who's now with Rob Pattinson. And then you kind of move on. There was always the Gaga rumors, because they took it acting so intensely, which I agree with you, Troy. The least favorite Lady Gaga is awards season Lady Gaga. It is really, because she's the kind of person that like I used to hate in acting class, where it would be like, you know, he would be like, you need to portray an animal, and then you would study the animal all week and then come in and do face work. And I always felt like such a jackass. But Lady Gaga is the one that would always take that seriously, and you know she'd be studying all week and then tell you about the process. So did you guys come to any conclusions on Bradley Cooper's, because she had the other one that he has his daughter with, what's the model's name?
Irina Shayk.
Irina Shayk, who then wound up with Kanye on his birthday in Paris. That is long. And Irina Shayk, when I went back and looked, had really an interesting slew of men in her life. I think there was like a band member from Nickelback or something? It was like there was like a billionaire old guy. There was like a soccer guy. There was a musician. And I was like, Irina seems like she gets around with a lot of successful people. I was curious about that relationship. What is your take on that in terms of PR, and where did you guys, because the rumor came out that he was now dating somebody from Glee.
Miss Diana Agron.
Which I was like, Kelly's going to love Diana. Like, so where do you guys stand? And did you come to any conclusions about Mr. Cooper?
I mean, my conclusion was that he is like really into PR. Like, he is obsessed with being photographed and seen. And oh my God, he just seems like one of those really almost like a stereotype, like uptight leading man, gay rumors. So he just is like obsessive about, you know, controlling this image of being like a leading man, like hunk or whatever. It's crazy.
Remember the blinds about when he was married to, what's that actress's name from Son of Sam? And like, she's a really good
Jennifer Esposito.
Esposito. Yeah. They got married and they had to get divorced because it was too crazy. And allegedly there was a lot of drugs and all that stuff involved. And that's when Bradley got sober. Did you guys cover that in the episode?
There weren't many blinds about him, like from those early days.
No.
There were blinds saying that he was just treated her like shit though.
Yeah, you know, I remember he starred in this TV show, I think on Fox, called Kitchen Confidential, based on the Anthony Bourdain novel. And we held the premiere party at the bar I used to manage like 20 years ago. And he left his wallet there and had to come the next day. But I didn't give it, like, I didn't know it was like Bradley Cooper. He was just like the lead of a Fox show. And I was like, here's your wallet. But I was like, now I was like, wow, if only I'd kept that wallet.
He said, thanks, pretty lady. And then he strummed his guitar and walked up.
And he goes, hey, gotta take another look at you. I was like, just take your wallet, sir. Yeah. What?
I mean, all I'm gonna say, Ryan, is you should Google pictures of Leonardo DiCaprio and Bradley Cooper on their balcony.
That's what I want to know. Give me that stuff. Is this, wait, do I have to pay Patreon money to tell you? I want the dirt. I want balcony dirt.
Mean, that's a lot of rumors. Is that like he's actually a closeted man? Whether it's true or not, we don't know. It's all alleged. But Diana Agron also has a lot of those rumors. So when I saw they were together, I started dying laughing. I was like, Troy, you'll never guess.
Yeah, of all the people, it's like, oh my God, like it couldn't be any more obvious, but allegedly or whatever.
I mean, who's writing that romantic comedy though, of like when one brand meets another brand and they're trying to hide their actual selves and they try to find love together? Like, that to me is like this hysterical notion, because you actually do have to spend time with this person. So when I wonder, when you're auditioning this person, if these things happen, are you sitting there acting like, oh, could I actually see myself with this person? Like, could I actually just even talk to this person? Could I do, you know, like, I wonder what goes through somebody's head just so they can make their little movie. Like, and then it become like, just so he can make Maestro on Netflix and wear old age makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you have to enjoy them at least a little bit. Troy and I always joke like Taylor Swift and Harry Styles. I feel like you could tell they didn't like each other.
Yeah. Like, it has to be a situation where you can at least be friends, you know, like, or at least hang out. Like, we talk about this actually a lot. Like I would be fine in a PR relationship with somebody that I really, really enjoyed, but I couldn't imagine being tied to somebody that I was just like paired with by the studio or by producers or whatever, and we didn't get along. You have to like be together all the time.
Have we ever had any kind of confirmation about a rock solid confirmation about a PR relationship, like from a studio, it doesn't even matter. It's like the 50s or the 60s. Do we has anybody ever gone on record
Colton Hayes recently did.
Oh,
He didn't
Mhm.
say who it was. I think it was Lauren Conrad, actually. He's like,
Yeah.
I had to pretend to date her. And nobody believed that relationship, like, to begin with,
Yeah.
But he just came out recently saying he actually did a really good article, and I know he has a book coming out about how terrible Hollywood was to him being a gay man when he has like leading movie star looks, but because he's gay, they think that'll hinder him. And that's what Troy and I talk about a lot. Seems to be the case in a lot of blind items, and I think that's so sad that we
Yeah.
think we've become so progressive, but Hollywood really isn't that progressive.
no, I mean, you can still sense there is that fear there of revealing who you really are, but it shows the lengths that these people have to go through to hide that, which I think just psychologically has to do so much damage. And now with pop culture, there's so much of it. Back in the days when you're just like Kevin Spacey was trying to, be a best actor nominee and all that, they didn't have 100 stations and 100 movies every single day. And now it's so spread out that I don't know, it's just such a weird thing how it's all culminating into so much. Like what we grew up studying, there's like quadruple of that now. Like you guys
Right.
could
Yeah.
spend all night reading new blind items tonight.
I also remember reading, I'm obsessed with Brooke Shields, and I always use her as a comparison for like child stars that have like shitty parents. Like
Oh my
Millie
God,
Bobby
she was
Brown,
the
I
worst.
always compare to Brooke. I feel like
Well, Millie's in her 40s now, so she got past it. But yeah.
literally, she's like older than me somehow.
Millie's collecting Social Security. Yeah.
But I always say like, Brooke is like just the blueprint of like how terrible stage parents can affect you. And she used to talk about that a lot, that like her mom would just like set her up with people and obsessively looking for people to like attach her daughter to, or if they went to an award show, she would be, whispering in people's ears, like, do you want to date my daughter? Do you want to date my daughter? Like old men. And like the Michael Jackson thing, like making her go to like the award show with Michael because he was so famous, just really like unapologetically pimping her out.
Or Chris setting up Rob with Black China. I mean, like, it's just so no. I'm just no.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I always talk about this every week, and I'm sure you guys have like these things used to be aspirational, like or even Housewives used to be aspirational. And then I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to even get involved in half the shit these people have to get involved with. Or when you I was like, I did Sheena's podcast the other day, and then like when the mic was off, it was like she was telling me all this drama that I was like, oh shit, like you live this shit. Like, I mean, like this is
your real life.
This is like not even like I was like, this is scary real. Like this should be filmed. Like this is scary, but it like these kind of people just seem to all like hover around entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No. I'm
Sorry.
just no. So okay, so we have the tour coming up. We have dates at the end of June, right? Is that what is the tour? I mean, is this Grateful Dead? Can we follow you all around? And
I mean, if you want to, more than welcome.
are you going to be doing
different
shows each night, or?
Yeah, every show is different. We tailor it to the city. So we pick a celebrity from that city. We're starting in Nashville, and then we have Denver, Minneapolis.
Oh, Nashville's going to be insane.
DC and Philly. Yeah, I'm excited to go back to Nashville for that. And that's at Zany's. And it's a brunch show. It's a brunch show.
Oh God. Oh no, they're gonna kick everybody out of Zany's at a certain point. How do you already have the people picked out for each of those locations?
No.
No, not each of them. But we are very fly by the seat of our pants about picking who we talk about. And it tends to work out.
It was funny in Chicago with Troy. I was like, what if we switch it up and did Jennifer Hudson instead of Kanye West? He's like, absolutely not.
What if we did Joan Cusack instead of Kanye West? What if we did
Susan Summers, anyone?
You're an insane person, Kelly.
You guys are in it for a treat tonight. I hope you like Dream Girls. Yeah. Some quick hits real quick. Taylor Swift, any new stuff on her? Everybody, I'm still just waiting. Like, is she ever going to tour? I mean, she's so big now. Like, is she married to this Joe Alwyn guy? What's going on? Is she
I don't
pining
know.
over ladies? What's going on?
I mean,
Makeover ladies.
I believe in my heart that she did date Carly Kloss and Diana Agron. You can't change my mind. Her and Joe are
Who would
really.
want to change your mind? Like, well, I mean, like,
A
I
lot
think
of
that
people want to change my mind, right?
I don't, I have no horse in this race. Like, whatever makes her happy. But like the Kloss one, I kind of really believe. Like, I saw enough. I think I watched a couple YouTube videos where I was like, I'm in. I believe this.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. Her and Joe are really interesting because they're always like, we're so private. We're so private. And then whenever he has something coming out, it's like Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Someone called him the nepotism boyfriend of Hollywood. And I thought that was one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
I was just talking about what's his name that works Bleachers, Jack Antonoff. Because I was thinking of the Jack Antonoff. He just got engaged to what's her name last week. That
Margaret
was also
Qualley?
Margaret Qualley. Yeah, just got engaged to Margaret Qualley. Margaret Qualley had dated Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf, of course, dated FKA Twigs. It was like another weird tree. But Jack Antonoff, like what a weird, interesting thing from Lena Dunham to rumors about Lorde to really working now with every female after the Taylor Swift thing, Clairo, all of these people. Any good Jack Antonoff blinds out there? Or is he just too like geeky to have blinds about? I feel like this guy gets around.
Yeah, I've never.
Nobody
Like,
cares.
Yeah.
He
seems
just
like
because he's not beautiful, you can't do blinds about him.
No, first of all, take that back because he's my full type.
Okay, good. Thank you, Troy. Maybe Kelli can sit with herself tonight and think about why she's like this. Yeah.
No, I'm obsessed with him, but I think that he's one of those. We come across these people all the time that are like, they're like meant to be sprinkled in other people's blind items. They're not meant for their own. Like he could probably never get an episode, but he'll pop up ever so often in other people's episodes. Does that make sense?
I like, yeah. Is there anybody that is untouchable when it comes to blinds? Is there like, you just can't touch, like this person just does it right all across the board, like seems to make every beautiful PR move that you can, and just, you can't even like touch.
I will say Jennifer Aniston, we did an episode on her, and her blinds are exactly what you see in tabloids. Like, I was so shocked. The most shocking thing is like she's a pothead. That's the only thing I learned.
Yeah.
Well, no, she has dry eyes too.
Oh yeah.
She's like, really? It's like, that's another thing. I'm like, Jennifer, are we like, how much money do we need at this point? You're like, dry eyes, water. The Jennifer Aniston thing that I like, see, this is what I hate rumors is that I knew somebody that I knew somebody that wrote on Friends and said that her and Matt LeBlanc had a full-on relationship, like a full-on sexual relationship where they would even hook up in their dressing room on the Warner Brothers lot. And it was 4 seasons, but it was just purely sexual. Like, have you guys ever come across that rumor?
I think there might have been a blind or two.
There were blinds about them hooking up for sure. And also, I don't know why there weren't any blind items about it, but we also have this conversation a lot. So there are blind item celebrities, and then there are message board celebrities where there could be like 20 to 25 years of message board drama about a certain celebrity that doesn't make its way to blind items per se, but like, you know, whatever. Jennifer Aniston is a message board celebrity. Like, there are people who believe that Jennifer Aniston is like one of the founding lesbians of closeted gay Hollywood.
That's why she's always on Ellen. Yeah.
yeah. And that she is like one of the lesbian queens. And there's like a whole thing. So then I
love the thought of a lesbian queen that doesn't actually is a proud lesbian. Like, I love the thought of a hidden lesbian queen that's in charge of all the Hollywood lesbians.
I mean, you just have to see who Cara Delevingne's spending time with.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I can't stand Cara Delevingne. I'm so sorry, Kelli. I cannot stand that Meg the Stallion thing. I was just like, I thought people were making memes and putting her in there, and it turns out that was actually her popping up. I was just like, okay, lastly, final question, I swear, is that I always dream about this. I used to talk about it all the time, wanting to do one-act plays of encounters with celebrities that we know something happened, like the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie private jet. Whatever happened on there that spurred this whole divorce, or the Solange, Jay-Z, Beyonce elevator ride. I would love to know the dialogue surrounding, like, you could do like these little one-act scenes of what we think happened. Is there any moments like that in pop culture history that you're like, I'd give everything to be a fly there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. There's almost so many that I'm overwhelmed by that. That's a good question.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of
No,
those
that's a
things I
good
always think
question.
about because we'll never know. Like even like we're not gonna, but like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, we're never going to really like know. Like we're
Yeah.
going to now just like this is evidence that was presented to us. But like with the Brad and Angelina, like we know something went down on that plane. We know he was wasted. We know something went down, but we don't know. But it happened so much that she's still in a war with Brad Pitt divorce wise.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
honestly, I would have loved to be on the set of One Tree Hill just because there's so much shit that happened.
Oh.
Like all the cast members dated each other. The creator of that show's a monster. Like I would have
And that
loved...
one dude, the one good looking dude was dating like high school students and stuff like that.
Yeah, Michael Murray. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much tea from that set that I would have loved to be like there for a little bit just to see it.
I didn't even, wow, that was really, that's kind of like in your CW roots a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like,
I would choose like conservatorship things for Britney. Like I would like to be around for like the conversations or to see the conversations of like planning her tours and planning these things that she has no control over, the conversations that she didn't even hear. Like I would love to know like what was Jamie communicating with these people that had cameras in her bedroom and like all of that stuff. Like I would love to like know the things.
Yeah, I mean that's
you know?
the one, that one clip from one of the Britney docs that came out in the last year of like them planning the tour without her, and they were like, "That's Britney's birthday," and she's like, "She'll work on her birthday."
Yeah,
and I was like,
laughing.
"Damn!"
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like it's like that, and yeah, there's probably just a shitload of material like that we will never be privy to, but that is why we have your show, to imagine, to wonder, to dream with two professionals, you guys, that really like this is, do you ever think about this? This is like why you know all of this information. Like it's all like, I always sometimes think of like, why was I so attracted to all of these like housewives shows and all this shit that everybody thought I was weird watching it? I was like, well, now this is what I do. It kind of led to this. Like, do you guys ever go like, oh, this is why I know all the shit I do at this, for this moment?
It makes
not
it
until
worth
this
it.
very moment.
Well, not this.
Yeah.
No, not yeah.
No, honestly, no, Ryan, I've
this
never
very
thought about it
moment.
like that. I've never thought about it like that. But yeah, I guess it makes sense that like at a young age, I was reading People magazine for something. Like it wasn't just because I was obsessed with celebrities, even though I am, but you know what I mean?
No, I mean, I just think it's like what we're attracted to. Like sometimes you would
Yeah.
never even think in a million years it, like I was just what I like to do. It's like I like to flip through Us Weekly when I'm a little kid, you know, like it's what I like to do. And then you're like, wow, that stuff really does come in handy now. And I almost like, oh, okay, well, that if you look at it that way, it's like an amazing study to
Yeah.
get to this point. Also, Dunzo, what do we have this week on Dunzo, which is Troy's other podcast, which initially was Smush Room, and it's excellent. You guys need to go subscribe to that as well if you want even more. Troy, what's coming up on Dunzo?
You know, I am also very fly by the seat of my pants with Dunzo. What is it, Monday? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea.
I'm the same. Yeah.
Like I've picked the episodes like days before. But I've been doing a lot of just random pop culture deep divey stuff, like very, very random. I just did an episode that I'm really proud of with this girl that I met from TikTok named Olivia Broussard, and she does a lot of like fashion TikTok stuff. And we talked about Kim as a fashion icon and like what that means and what it looks like with like Kanye having picked her style and like all that stuff. So
and her aping so many other people's style now, you know, like
exactly
it's
stealing.
And Kelly, nostalgia. And now we're on a break. We're on.
Yeah. We're season 2, Ross and Rachel. We're season 3, whatever fucking season that was. I do want to just say something just came out, and Diana Agron was just talked about as get to know a fabulous queer personality. So apparently Diana Agron has come out.
Somewhere Bradley's like, the fuck she did. Yeah, like, oh my God, that just like literally, wait, how many alerts do you guys have on your phone from like random weird celebrity blog sites and stuff like
Just
that?
Twitter.
Just
We
Twitter.
don't need them. We don't need them because the minute they happen, everybody's like, did you see this?
It is weird. Like, it's like, so everything happens so quick now. You can't really, you almost have to like get 10 years to go by to then actually speak about it with some kind of new, fresh take on whatever the Twitter sphere had, you know?
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I know. Like when Kristen and Steven announced their podcast, I'm like, I saw it, guys. I promise.
Dude, by the way, Spencer, second baby. And also, yeah, it's good for Spencer. Actually, because I had posted that about I said, oh, Spencer needs to do the Hills one. And he DM'd immediately. He was like, no, I don't get to do that. They're giving it to Brody and Ceiling. Audrina. Yeah, they're giving it to Brody and Audrina. So I was like, oh, bum, Matt. So anyways, you guys go check out their tour. All the information is going to be on the description. You guys probably already listened to already, but if not, you just found your new obsession. Go follow them on Instagrams. All the information will be there as well. And they're just two great people. So it's good, really. And they're knowledgeable people. This isn't even doing somebody a favor. You're going to be entertained. So thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day, because I know you talk all the time. So this sucks. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us. This was fun.
Yeah, this was super fun. This was
you guys don't that is like half-assed. Or yeah, super fun. Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, this was really fun.
And Troy, I do gotta talk to you at some other point. We didn't even get to touch Housewives, so I'm just like, as a personal thing, I'm like, oh, I'm so curious what you think about Beverly Hills. Anyways, you guys, Beyond the Blinds, awesome pod, awesome people. Check it out. Bye.
Bye.